Again, thank you everyone for those that have just joined us. My name is Natasha Telger. I'm located in Springfield, Illinois. And today we're going to take a look at some of the tools that are specifically for Illinois WorkNet coordinators and managers. And then we also have tools that we have a user role called an organization administrator that you have access to some of these tools as well. So if you don't currently have one of those user roles and you feel that you need to have that user role, then that's fine. Either let your coordinator know, or you can always email info@illinoisworknet.com, and we can help you with getting set up. We understand with changes in the workplace that sometimes roles and responsibilities do change. So today we're going to take a look at site management. We're going to take a look at how we set up partners and some of the tools that are available. We're going to take a look at user management, which is how you manage the people that are in your Illinois WorkNet account for your workforce investment area. We'll take a look at the online courses, reporting, marketing materials, customer groups. There's a lot of information. So I'm going to just give you an overview of how those tools how you can use those tools in relationship to your user role. And to start out, we always want to talk about site management. It's really important that our sites are set up correctly in Illinois WorkNet because it's really like the backbone of the Illinois WorkNet Partners Pathway. If you are an access site only and you're open to the public, then that the site management populates the Find a Location Near You that's available in the individual's pathway. And if you are a business services team, the sites that are entered into site management populate the Find a Business Service Team directory that's available on the business side of Illinois WorkNet. But in addition to that, we have a lot of partners that may be dissemination sites, which means they don't actually have computers available at that location for their customers that can just come in and use those computers to access Illinois WorkNet. So we call those dissemination sites. We have dissemination sites. We have access sites that may not be open to the public, for example, high schools. We have some locations that they may be open a high school during the day and then a community area in the evening. So we have different ways of designating when it's open to the public and so forth. So all that's taken care of in site management. And it's really important that we have all the information correct in site management because especially when we use it to populate the Find a Location Near You, the Business Service Team directory, and so forth, we want to make sure that we're directing our customers to the right location during their correct business hours and identify the resources that that location has because we don't want to direct them to a location and then just find out that they didn't really have a particular set of services that the person was looking for. So those are some of the reasons why it's important to have it just from the public side. But then even for Illinois WorkNet, the partner side, it's important to have the information correct because we use it within customer groups. Depending on whenever you use your customer groups, you can send out messages, and the information that's in your profile and the site that you're linked with, that information is used, and when you send a message to your customer, it'll have that contact information in there. We want to make sure your contact information is correct because we want them to be able to contact you, number one, and plus you probably don't want them contacting you at home. So we always want to make sure profile information is correct as well as the site information. Also, site management is used with reporting and as well as assessments. So we'll take a look at that. Now, whenever you have a partner site, the old way was that you used to collect all the information and you had to enter the information in as a coordinator. You would have to enter that information in to site management. But we have a wizard approach that you can use, and you just go to illinoisworknet.com, go to the Partners Pathway, and then on that pathway there's an area where they can either log in or they can sign into an existing or set up a partner account, or if their site's not already partner, they can go ahead and submit a request online to become an Illinois WorkNet partner. And what that does is, first of all, they simply, once they go to become a partner site, the very first step is, first of all, check to see if you're already a partner, so it just saves you time. So if you're already a partner, fabulous. Click, select, and select your site, enter your information to request a partner account. If your site's not already set up as a partner site, then you can simply go to step 2. And there's a couple options. You can either, if you already have an Illinois WorkNet account, that's fine. You can set up a partner site. For example, an example of this would be, maybe I have 2 locations, and one's in the north part of my county and one's in the southern part of my county. And I'm already associated with the site that's in my northern part of my county, but I want to make my other site a location too. So I can go ahead and select that I already have an Illinois WorkNet partner account, sign into my account, and then go ahead and enter the information for the other location. The other option is, if you don't have an Illinois WorkNet account, you can just simply click option 1, which is most likely the case. And when you select option 1, it takes you through a wizard approach. And first of all, you start out entering in your information to create your workforce partner account. And then it'll walk you through the different steps through the wizard approach for entering in your site information. So it doesn't ask you unnecessary questions. So if you are a site that what we would call a dissemination site, and you don't have computers available to your customers, then when you answer, no, I don't have computers available to my customers, then again, it doesn't ask you any of those computer questions. It just takes you on to the next series of questions. So again, it is a wizard approach. You can enter that information online. Once you enter the information, then the coordinator is notified, as well as we're notified as well. And you can take a look. The coordinator will look at the information, review to make sure it's not a duplicate site, make sure it's really a valid site. We don't want to have any locations out there that are charging for services that, Illinois WorkNet centers or, that they can get for free through Illinois WorkNet. So once you see that it's a valid site, then you just approve it, and they are automatically notified that they are a valid site, and they can have access to Illinois WorkNet. So these kind of just walk you through the process. Again, option 1, submitting the partnership request. Whenever you submit the information, again, for the option 1, it'll go ahead and set up your Workforce Professional Partner account, and then it'll take you through the wizard to set up the site information. Once you do that, then the person will get an email to make sure that it's, really, did you really want to submit this information? They say yes, and then you, the coordinator, are notified that somebody has submitted a request, and you can either approve it or deny it. If it's denied, then they will go ahead and you'll type in a reason why it's denied, and they'll get a copy of that email to let them know why it was denied. The other option 2 is what I had mentioned before, that you have a person that has already has an Illinois WorkNet account, and they want to submit it for another location. Again, they use the wizard approach. Then they get an email to confirm that that's what they want to do, and then the coordinator is notified, and you can approve or deny it. Now, there's another option. The other option is for you as a coordinator or manager. You have to have one of those 2 roles to be able to just go ahead and set up a site. So you currently go to the Workforce Professionals pathway, go to Site Administration, click on Site Management, and you can choose whether you want to have it as an individual or business account or site. And if it's the individual side means they have workforce professionals there that are helping individuals. So it might be a high school, it could be a faith-based organization, it could be a community-based organization. Excuse me. If you choose that it's a business location, then that means that they have business service teams available to assist businesses. So you select the appropriate site, and based on that, then you'll have the information that you need to include based on the type of site that you add and how you answer the questions. And then that would be added to your site management list. So, and you'll see your entire location, your site, and at the top you'll see, especially for coordinators and managers, you'll see where it has your LWIA and then a number. This is a placeholder. This is basically the parent organization. That's how we organize the information. So your top LWIA, it's just a bucket to hold all of your locations. So you don't need to, we don't want to put anybody with this organization. It's just a placeholder, so it organizes all the partner sites for you. Excuse me. Now, whenever you, excuse me. Now, whenever you add a site through options 1 through 3, you are entering them or your partner is entering them. And so those are identified in the source column as a workNet source. Now, the difference is you'll have some items that are identified as IWDS source. And what that means is that they are WIA-funded locations that are coming from IWDS, and those sites are automatically populated in your site management. So if a new site is added, then you will be notified that a site has been added from IWDS, and it will give you a link, and it will say, there are some additional fields that need to be completed, such as the type of services it offers, and a few other areas. So you'll be asked to complete the remaining information that's not collected in IWDS, but we use it in Illinois WorkNet because when we direct customers to that location, we want to make sure they have all the information they need to make a decision about which location to visit. Now, there are certain bits of information that whenever an item is populated by IWDS that you won't be able to change. That would be like the contact information and so forth. And so whenever you look at those, they'll have a little lock next to those fields. And what you'll need to do is you have to update IWDS because that's the controlling database. So you update IWDS, and then it automatically populates and updates Illinois WorkNet. So there's 4 different ways that you can put sites into site management. And I spent so much time on that because I really want everybody to understand that it's important that the sites are set up with the correct information because we want to make sure we're directing customers to the right area. Those are just the things we just covered. So the next step is to, once you have your sites and you're like, okay, great, you've been approved, one of the things that we want to do is to make sure the site is set up correctly. So we do have some instructions here for setting up a resource room, and they can just simply, everybody has access to this, where it says, you have to click on a link for setting up your resource room, and we have, these are what we call accordions, this gray and maroon colored bars. So you can click on the accordion if you're a dissemination partner, which means you don't have computers available to your customers, or you can click on the link that's default open, but it has information for setting up a site that is an access site, that's an Illinois WorkNet Center, or a partner site that has computers that are available to customers. And within this, you can have a couple options for setting up. We have marketing materials that are available that you can choose from that, because every site's different, so you might want to choose from either mousepad or posters or flyers to direct people to Illinois WorkNet. If you're an Illinois WorkNet Center, we have, or actually for any of the sites that are an access site, you can use a site-specific URL. And one of the nice things about using the site-specific URL is later on we're going to talk about reporting. You can take a look at basically your stats for your location and how many people have come in and used Illinois WorkNet and what they've accessed, like the top 10 pages and all that kind of good stuff, if you use the site-specific URL. Okay, and to do that, there's a link that's available in the instructions, but then there's a direct link that's available as well. And again, it's a wizard approach. You simply click on the location on the map, select your site, and then it automatically will set your home page for your internet browser with your Illinois WorkNet, with the Illinois WorkNet address, and then a little identifier in the URL that that is your site-specific URL. But it's invisible basically to the customers. It's just a way of tracking your information. So you can do that for your Illinois WorkNet centers, your Illinois WorkNet partners. We also have an option where you can create a desktop icon, and you might want to do that maybe if you have a community college and they don't necessarily want to change their homepage to Illinois WorkNet, but you have a couple options for them too. They could put a desktop icon in the resource room on their computers. They can also have a link to us. We have different graphics that you can select from, and they can put a link to us on their website and link to specific information. And we always have the graphics and the instructions available, so it's pretty easy. So those are some of the ways that you can connect and set up your resource rooms. Now, once the resource rooms are set up, it's important that they have a general idea of some of the resources that are available. So we do have our CEWA online course, and the online course does walk a person through. They're automatically pre-registered whenever their account is approved and they're given a user role. Automatically pre-registered. You no longer have to pre-register anybody. So once they're pre-registered, they can automatically see that it's available. If they didn't click before, when they got the email to register for the course, then that's fine. Don't worry about it, because as soon as they click on it, it's going to ask them to complete the registration, which is usually one little field, and then they can easily access the course automatic. So you don't have to worry about that. It's automatically done. But it walks them through the resources that are in WorkNet, and then in addition to that, we want to make sure that they know that we have on our resources tab, we have a lot of information that's available. And so if they're ever looking for specific information on assessments, or they have a job club, or they want to start a job club, workshops, training, case management, all that information is on the resources page. We also have marketing tools that they can use, again, for setting up their resource rooms. Maybe they have a career booth that's coming up, or job fair that's coming up. They can do that. We also have personalized tools, which we'll talk about customer groups that are available, and then other types of maybe once they complete the content management course, they have access to content management. They can access single sign-on. So the personalization tools are on their homepage as well. Okay. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat pod. I'm going on. There's a lot of information here, so I understand. So if you have any questions, go ahead and enter them into the chat pod. Okay, again, under site management, site administration, that's where you have your site management. We also have user management. And so once you have your users, they're in Illinois WorkNet, one of the things whenever you have a new request for a partner to approve them, because the Illinois WorkNet partner pathway is password protected, they must have a user role. And they must have a user role so that they can access the site. And I would say the majority of people simply use the public viewer user role. We do have a couple other user roles that they can use. We're working on minimizing some of these just for simplicity. We have organization administrator. For an organization administrator, that means you have access to some activity reporting. You have access to site management for your site only. And then you also have access to quarterly reports. So we'd like every site to have a site organization administrator because at least they have access to maintaining their site information and completing quarterly reports and so forth. We have the LWIA manager and the LWIA coordinator. Now, the LWIA coordinator is the person that's technically the LWIA coordinator for the entire area or for your local workforce investment area. They're the primary contact person. But we do understand that in some of the areas you have a coordinator, but then you also have other people that do many of the same roles or functions within workNet that a coordinator does. So we have the LWIA manager. The LWIA manager has the exact same access as the coordinator, but the coordinator just simply identifies the one person that's the primary contact for your local workforce investment area in regards to Illinois WorkNet. So that's the main items that, as far as user roles, that you would want to be familiar with. We also have up here in this accordion where it says click here for instructions. It also has a rubric that shows you the different user roles and what they have access to. We have different instructions and so forth that are available as well. Now through user management, you can also update some of the profile information that's available. Maybe their email address, maybe they had a typo in their email address or it's changed. You can update that information in their profile. You can also update their password, but if they forget their password, but I would highly suggest if a person forgets their password, you simply ask them to use the forgot password or get password help, and that's located when you go to log in, right where you would log in, it says get password help, and there are a couple options there for them to recover their password. So that would be my first suggestion for you, because then they can make it, themselves, they can make it personal for themselves, something that they can remember. Otherwise, you have to change it and then say, okay, now, once you do this, go into my profile and update your information so that they'll remember their password in the future. Through user management, you can also delete accounts, or technically what you do is inactivate them when you delete them. And we want to make sure that, within your exit interview policies or exit interview form, to remember that if one of the items, to have one of the items as your Illinois WorkNet account, is that we want to deactivate or delete their Illinois WorkNet account, because you don't want to have them have access to customer information and to your customers if they're no longer with your organization. So that's really important to remember. And again, that's in user management, which is under site admin, user management. Okay. Now, I touched on this briefly before. We have the Certified Illinois WorkNet Advisor online course. And again, it's offered through Illinois WorkNet, still single sign-on. We have different courses, but we've changed them to modules. And now it's a bigger picture, scenario-based content. So we're trying to give you an examples of how this could be used in, working with your customers, whether it's individuals or businesses, and take you to the resources that are available. Then we also, it's self-registration. You do have 90 days to complete the modules and earn a certificate of completion. If you don't complete it within the 90 days, then you will have to, it'll prompt you when you go to log into your account to take some kind of action towards completing the course. And this is important to complete the course just because, if you're an Illinois WorkNet partner, we want to make sure that you are familiar with the resources that are available within Illinois WorkNet. So it just simply walks you through, and it can be you can go through it very quickly, or take quite a bit of time to go through it. It depends on how involved you get with all the activities and going through every detail. Then we'll have a recertification test in a year, and instead of taking the course over, it's just simply an assessment, different questions, your CEUs through Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. Any questions so far? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay, for your quarterly reports with the site admin, site organization admin, LWIA manager, and LWIA coordinator, you do have access to quarterly reports. Now, in your quarterly report, again, this is under site administration, reporting quarterly. There's an area, and there's a link here that says quarterly report instructions and resources. So you can find out all different types of information about quarterly report and who completes which report. Now you, as a coordinator, organization admin, manager, you don't have to worry about making sure that people have the right report because the system will provide them with the appropriate report. Now, if you're a dissemination site, again, a dissemination site is someone that doesn't have computers open to the general public or open to their customers with internet access. So they do not complete a quarterly report at all. One is not offered to them. The sites that are WIA-funded access sites, those sites are required to complete a quarterly report, and they are, that type of report measures the level of integration. So this is an example of a WIA-funded access site report because it says minimal integration, moderate integration, and extensive integration. So once you say yes to all the minimal integration, it unlocks the next level, and you can say, once you say yes to all the moderate integration, it unlocks the next level, which is extensive integration. So again, those are only they are required, and they're only for WIA-funded access site locations. Then you also have your access sites that are not WIA-funded. And that report is optional. Some locations have chose, to work with their sites and request, they require it to be completed. We don't technically require it to be completed, but each location is different. So, but what they do is they have their partners complete the quarterly reports and use it as a communication tool, so they can review the results of the quarterly report and just kind of see where each partner is, how they're using it, if they have any comments, questions, because there are areas where they can type in text as well. Now, for a site that's not WIA-funded, that is an access site, it doesn't measure the level of integration. It's just simply a checklist of yes or no's. What are you doing on your location? Okay, so now if you are a manager or coordinator, then you will be able to see your entire LWIA. So for all those sites that are in your site management, you'll be able to, as long as they're access sites, then you'll be able to see their partner site information, their address, their status, whether it's complete or not. And if you had them completed, or maybe you had them on the phone and you just clicked, you could go ahead and click the button to complete the evaluation and just answer all the questions, yes or no, and you can submit it yourself, or you can check to see if they've submitted it. And also there's a column to tell you whether the site is, whether the report is required or not, so you know which ones are required. At the very top, there's also an LWIA-wide report, and that would be completed by your LWIA coordinator or your manager. And that's just 2 questions, and you just have to answer them, and then once they're, you just click on the button, answer them, and submit the information. So once your LWIA-wide questions have been answered and all of your partner sites that are required to complete the quarterly reports, once all of those have been completed, then you're considered complete and meeting requirements. Anything you want to do in addition to that, that's up to you. Okay, and again, this information is in your quarterly report instructions and resources. And then we also have the due dates up here that when each of the quarterly reports are due. Okay, as I mentioned before, if you're a coordinator, manager, or admin, then you also have access to activity reports. And depending on your role, and that will depend on what you have access to. You can see your quarterly report information in here. You can take a look at your activity usage as far as Illinois WorkNet is concerned, so you can kind of see where your customers are going. You can look at your page counts. You can look at your new registrations. These numbers, a lot of times people use them for their board meetings. Now, this is in particular, I would like to have you use the site-specific URL, especially for your Illinois WorkNet centers and your partner sites, because it collects all the information for your area. It collects the information. If you're talking about usage, as far as your Illinois WorkNet usage, you can take a look at your sites, but you can collect all the information for your area, and it'll take it from the site-specific URLs, but then it also, if a person is at home and they're using their Illinois WorkNet account and they're logged into their Illinois WorkNet account, then it will mark that down towards your usage as well, because it can identify that person with your zip code and your LWIA. So all those numbers go into your new registrations, your average sessions per day, top 10 pages viewed, and so forth. So this is just kind of a nifty little tool that you can take a look at. Again, your quarterly report summaries. If you're an org admin, then you can see your site information, but you won't be able to see the entire LWIA site information. We also have the NOCTI assessment, and if you're an org admin or for that site, the site, and also for your coordinator or manager, then you'll be able to see the assessments and scores and so forth for your LWIA or for your location. As one of the tabs or pages within the workforce pathway, we also have marketing materials. And with the marketing materials, we do ask that everybody make sure that they read the graphic guidelines. That's one important step. We want to make sure everybody knows how to use the graphics appropriately without modifying them. We want to make sure that it's a consistent look and feel across the state for the Illinois WorkNet sites and Illinois WorkNet partners, but we do have ways that you can customize it for your customers, for a specific event, whatever you need. So we have different types of print materials you can choose from. We have all different types of photos that you can choose from. We have icons that you can use as well. With the print materials, we have postcards, brochures. We already have set up like different templates that you can use. You can switch out graphics on many of the print materials. We have fact sheets, letterhead, quick tips, all different types of things that are available. We also have the different logos that are available for you to download. So we have the low, medium, and high resolution logos. They're in black and white, color, and also we have the partner logo. So you can use those as well. So again, take a look at those, and next time you have an event, and you can customize some of those materials so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. The other area that we were going to cover today is customer groups. Now, a customer group is a tool that allows you to view customers' assessment results as well as communicate with the customer. And it used to be you had to have special access to get to this, and we've modified customer groups so that anyone who is in Illinois WorkNet, that's a workforce professional partner account, then they can use customer groups. So there's two distinct differences, two main differences. If you are a workforce professional, let's just say you are a community college instructor and you're not in IWDS, you can still use customer groups. So there's the whole invitation process. You can give them a little card where you have a passcode. They enter in the passcode. If they don't have an Illinois WorkNet account, they set up an Illinois WorkNet account, and then they're automatically added to your customer group, your personal customer group. And then that way you can view their assessment results. You can send them messages, notices, upcoming information, or upcoming events, all different types of things you can do with customer groups. If you are a workforce professional, if you have a workforce partner pathway account, and you are in IWDS as a case manager role, then your Illinois WorkNet account and your IWDS account have been synced together. And so what that means is that through your account, then you will, all the customers that are in IWDS, you'll automatically have access to them in Illinois WorkNet in your customer groups. You don't have to add anybody. They're already there for you. You just have to simply go to the workforce partner pathway and click on customer groups, and they're already there for you. So anyone that you are specifically tied to for your My Customers, they're already filtered out for you. And you also have anybody you have access to in IWDS, you have access to them through Illinois WorkNet as well. So again, you can look at their assessment results, send them messages, you can create subgroups. There's all different types of things you can do with customer groups. And we do have webinars that cover customer groups specifically. So if you'd like to learn more about customer groups, watch for the customer groups webinars as well as the assessment webinars. Now within customer groups, as I mentioned before, you can view your customers. These are the ones that are specifically come from IWDS. You can also click where it says registered or universal only, as it says now. But if you have access to adult, TAA, youth, all those different areas, depending on what you have access in IWDS, you also have access to them as well. You can create filtered groups. If you wanted to, you can still use the invitation process that the other workforce partners use that don't have access to IWDS. That's still an option for you as well. Once you have them in your customer group, then you can view their account information, their contact information, and their assessments. You can also send them an email or an account message. An account message goes to their Illinois WorkNet account. Once they're in your customer group, as I mentioned before, you can see all their activities, their pre-assessment, which has changed from the Summer Youth Employment Program pre-assessment. Now it is a pre-assessment that it's 54 questions, and it prepares the person to not only take the post-assessment that was used for the Summer Youth Employment Program, but also the NOCTI 21st Century Skills Assessment that's available through WorkNet now to all Illinois WorkNet partners for free, and as well as the observational assessment, again, free, available to all WorkNet partners, and the worksite evaluation, which I'm really excited about because we're making some changes, and hopefully they'll be all incorporated by Friday. And so, again, so you can see not only their activities, but all their assessment information through their customer summary page, even their past information. So if they were in the Summer Youth Employment Program, you still have all their history here for the activities that they completed and their assessments that they completed. We have the employer evaluation or worksite evaluation. That link is always available so that you can complete it, or you can send an invitation to an employer and have them complete that that evaluation for a customer. The observational assessment, again, that was developed by the Chicago Workforce Investment Council. It's been used in Chicago Public Schools. We're really excited about offering it through workNet as well. So that would be something that an instructor would complete for a particular customer. If the customer has completed their NOCTI 21st Century Skills, then you'll see a link here to view their assessment skills, assessment results. And if they've taken their interest profilers, which is also incorporated in the activities, you'll be able to see a link to those results as well. As I mentioned before, in the customer groups, you can see the results to their activities. And so when a person logs into their LMI WorkNet account, well, for one thing, whenever they accept an invitation to be added to your customer group, then they're automatically redirected to their activities page, because the activities provide a way just to walk them through the different resources that are available within LMI WorkNet and the things to consider if they're, trying to, find a job, or maybe exploring different types of careers and training programs and so forth. So we redirect them to the activities, where if they would like to, that they can take the pre-assessment, which is also a study guide. It's an optional pre-assessment, and you can complete it one time, and then the results are just saved, and the answers are provided, because again, it's a study guide, and it links back to the corresponding resources in LMI WorkNet. Then you have your activities, and once they complete an activity and self-identify that they have completed the activity, they mark it as, it's marked as complete. They can complete the activities, and once they've done that, then they can take the career development assessment. And the career development assessment is basically the same thing as the SYEP, Summer Youth Employment Program, post-assessment, except it only covers the information. It doesn't cover the workplace skills. It covers information about, preparing to find a job, finding a job, developing your resume, some money management skills, finding training programs, those type of things. So that's what the career development assessment covers. The workplace skills that were previously in that assessment are now more fully covered in the 21st century, the NOCTI 21st Century Skills Assessment. So they can complete that assessment, and we have the observational assessment that can be incorporated into different training programs, classroom settings, for the instructors to complete the observational assessment, and then especially for those locations that have worksite experiences, we have the worksite evaluation that can be used. And hopefully by Friday, it'll all be released, where we have, you can send out the link to an employer, so you don't have to necessarily complete all of them yourselves. You can just simply send an email to the employer, and they can complete the evaluation online, and the results are saved with the individual's account. Now, once they complete, let me take a step back. Once they complete the career development assessment, they only have to score 70% or higher. They have an unlimited number of attempts to take the career development assessment. So once they complete it, then they can earn their certificate of completion. And that's literally what it is. It's just saying that, yes, they successfully completed the career development assessment. And once they complete the NOCTI, observational assessment, worksite evaluation, whatever is applicable, then those will be added to the certificate as well. As I mentioned before, we do have a couple other assessments. And the reason why I point this out is because we have two different types of self-survey type assessments. And we have the skills and interest profilers, and that's, again, whenever a person's logged into the account, that you'll be able to see like the skills tab. That's where the skills and interest profilers are. And those are, you can view those results through the customer groups as well. Another type of self-assessment that is available is the computer skills self-assessment. And that is just, it's available in paper version, but it's also available online using a wizard approach. And basically how the person answers the questions, then it gives you your next steps. So you may start out at basic skills, or intermediate, or technical professional. And so we have different resources that are available. Now, To access the skills and interest profilers, you have to be logged into your Illinois workNet account. To access the computer skills self-assessment, you don't have to be logged into an Illinois workNet account. You can simply take the computer skills assessment, and the results are not saved. So this is a self-assessment that's available, but you will not be able to view it through customer groups. We're switching back over to the Workforce Professionals pathway because I want to make sure, I mentioned before that we have a lot of resources that are available on the Workforce pathway, and we will continue to add more. But one of the things, all the things I just covered, as far as customer groups, the different assessments that are available, the activities that are available, those types of things. Those are all available on the resources section. We have a case management section, and we have a sample process flow, and that's literally what it is. It's a sample work readiness process flow. Adapt it for whatever meets your needs at your location, but it's just a simple way to kind of walk through a scenario, starting out with an orientation, putting people into taking the computer skills assessment, directing people, putting people in their customer groups, directing them to their activities, and so forth. So wherever you click on this image map, it'll take you to the resources that are available in Illinois workNet to learn more about that specific tool if you're not familiar with that tool already. And there's also a text version if you're not big on the image map version. And then to tie it all together with the various assessments that are now offered and the activities, one of the things that whenever we were talking about the assessments and we're adding the assessments is that it's one thing to add an assessment, but we also need to provide the resources in workNet, especially with the employability section, to help a person not only understand what the employers are looking for, but also resources to help them enhance that skill. And so as we move forward and we can collect more and more feedback from our workforce professionals, then we can add more and more resources, for each specific skill as well. But what we've done is there's a lot of information about workplace skills. And what we know is that employers are looking for three main areas. They're looking for academic skills, technical skills, and employability skills. And this particular section of Illinois workNet is on the workplace skills. This is our new skills wheel if you haven't looked at it already. And it's under Prepare and Workplace Skills. And we have the different sections, and each section has a scenario. So they can, what would you do in this situation? They can take a look at the possible answer, one solution, modify it, what they would have done differently. We have a whole listing of the skill areas and the definitions and all the resources that if you feel that you need to improve on a certain skill, we have the resources there that are online resources that you can take a look at and to help the person with enhancing that skill level. And so then the next step after that is, well, you have all these great skills, but you need to make sure that you're using them to market yourself. So we have our next steps, which is using those skills, incorporating, reminding people to incorporate them into your resume, incorporate them into the interview, highlight these different types of skills so employers know that, yes, you have academic skills, yes, you have technical skills, and yes, you have employability skills. So that's our skills wheel, and all of the definitions are based on national standards. So we have the national standards, then we have the Illinois IT Task Force recommendations. So those are all incorporated into the skills wheel. Now, if you've looked at all the different national standards, everybody's pretty much saying the same thing. It's just how it's organized. So we compile the information into these categories so that, for one thing, it's easy to navigate. And then for another thing is that we needed to crosswalk that information to our assessments. So let's say that you took the NOCTI assessment, or you took or an observational assessment was provided for you, and you didn't do so well in positive attitude or communication. Whenever you look at your score, you would be able to see what areas you need to improve upon, and then it gives you like learn more, and it gives you a link back to the resources in Illinois workNet so you can work on improving that skill. So those are some of the new resources that we have within Illinois workNet that are specifically tied back to the new assessments that are available in Illinois workNet. And if you haven't already sat in one of the webinars, I would suggest that you sit in on a webinar for the customer groups as well as the assessments. And we're going to have more and more of those assessment webinars as well. And what I'd like to do is have a series once we start working with specific locations, and so we can get you can get feedback from them on real people that have implemented this in their area, and so we'll take a look at the specific assessments for each in a series. So we'll cover all of those. So. Are there any questions or anything that you would specifically like a demonstration to see how it works? You can type it in the chat pod. I covered a lot of information. Okay, what I'm going to do is we'll do a quick check to make sure that everybody's on the same page and make sure I covered all of the information. Go ahead and you can answer the polling questions. So the first one is, can partners enter or submit or edit their own site information in site management? Very good. Okay. Yep, and the answer is yes. The primary thing that you have to remember is that they need to have an organization admin role. So that's why it's important to have each location that has one organization admin so that they can update that information. Okay, so the next one is, what are the options to set up the computer to connect customers to Illinois workNet? And correct. It is all of the above. We have a site-specific URL, which is nice to have your sites do this so that you can more accurately identify, your web stats for your entire local workforce investment area. But we do have other options as well. Okay, user management tool allow you to do what? Yes, and yes. It will allow you to update the site that the account is linked to, so that is true. I don't think I really covered that so much, but let's say you have a person that either moved locations or they resigned, but they went to a partner site. You could just, instead of deactivating their account, you could move them to an appropriate account. And you would be able, and a coordinator or manager would be able to do that, but you would only be able to move them to another site within your LWIA. Now, at the state level, I could move them to a different LWIA, but only at your local area, you would only be able to move them within your LWIA. You can update the password, you can disable or enable the account, yes, and you can update their email. Okay, can you, customizable marketing materials are available to all Illinois workNet partners? Yes, that is correct. All you have to do is when you go to the marketing page, you'll be asked to agree to the terms of use. And once you do that, then you have automatic access to all the customizable materials. And the last question, only Workforce Professionals accounts synced with IWDS can use the Customer Groups tool. And that's correct. It is false because people that are not linked to IWS can use the invitation process, and otherwise, IWS people, they already have their customers in their account. So that covers all of our information for today. If you have any questions, please contact me, or you can always contact info@illinoisworknet.com. And that way we can direct your question to the appropriate person. We have a couple people. Juana Amaria specifically works with the business services area, or if I'm not in, we can direct your questions to the appropriate person. So do you have any specific questions that I can answer for you? Okay. If not, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to review the tools available for coordinators and managers and organization admins. So thank you.